right, joining us to talk Seattle Seahawk football and squawk talk is my Seahawk Insider, John Schneider Jr. No relation from whereabouts unknown. John, welcome.
Hello to you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Sorry, we can't see your face, but we understand that you're not ready to show the world, and you have to hide a little about because you're a man about town.
I really just, I'd rather not. I'm not ready to make that move.
You're fair enough. You're our second one. You ain't our Raider guy. So you're John Schneider Jr., no relation.
No, I'm definitely not related. I'm not in any way related to anyone.
To anyone? No family at all?
There's no relation to anyone. I have no relations. There's no known family. They've,
But I do know certain things about you, though, John. You are up in the woods, the woods up the Pacific Northwest, up in the region there. You are very much in tune with the animals and the Seahawks themselves. As you see some Seahawks behind me, and there's a famous Brian Blades. He was a legendary Seahawk. We were talking about Blades before the show there, and of course he was the smaller, older brother of Benny Blades. The Blades brothers were a force. Remember them?
I do remember the Blades, and I can't believe that there's not more Blades. There's more Blades everywhere. People just taking the name Blades, hyphen, and just being known as Blades, singular.
Hyphen into Blades instead of like taking taking your maiden name or something like that. Now, me and my wife are going to add the name Blades.
Yeah, we're both affiliated with Blades, so I bet you don't mess with our mailbox. Is what I bet you cut back on the porch pirating.
And that's your Blades bet of the day. The Blades always make a bet of the day that you don't do. That it's all about what you won't do to the Bladeses. Yeah,
they dare people to try.
Mm-hmm.
They want an interaction. They want to play defense, even when they're offense. They want to be
right.
Yeah, they want to mix it up.
Best offense is good defense. Well, speaking of betting and the Seattle Seahawks, let's get right into the Seattle football. This is my general thing there, and we'll put that in there. Here we are. This will real quick. We'll recap of last year. They went 9-8. Your Seattle Seahawks. And they also fired a 9/11 truther, and Pete Carroll. It was about time he had to go. With a little love for Pete Carroll, but he was getting a real kooky there at the end, I believe.
I mean, there's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of that, right? That was a big. And then my favorite was he goes, "These people making these decisions are not football people." There was a lot of heartburn. That's really sad, right? Like when that happens, because there's also still people affiliated, including a mountain of players there, right? Like who are affiliated with this Pete Carroll, and we're doing all the Pete Carroll stuff, and him leaving with, all of this frustration. That sucks. That carries over.
It took a while to get him out of the office. I remember he wanted like a consulting job or something. Like, no, Pete, you need to go back to Hermosa.
Yeah, it was a breakup for sure.
Right.
And he was hurt, and it hurt him. I thought he did all the right. He grew on me. I wasn't Pete Carroll. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't give a shit, but the USC stuff, I'm like, all right.
Right.
And he was bad. That was bullshit too. Like him, he wasn't the number one. He didn't leave them in a shitty condition. It was like, no, this is what the business was. It's all actually what the business is right now.
Right. And history proved him right and Reggie Bush right and all that situation. Yeah. It was kind of like, listen, you figure out this bullshit, these rules. I'll come back, maybe later on. But right now, I can't deal with this stuff.
Yeah.
But he did
too much litigation. That being said, we're moving into the new. This new coach is got juice. I like that. They've got I think upwards of 13 rookies maybe on this team, which is a lot, right? They've got a ton of picks that they made
Yeah,
that
they got a lot of young
Schneider
arms.
made with these guys in mind, this Mike McDonald in mind, this new offensive coordinator Grubbs. They were made all these picks about like, hey, let's get with this. And so if I'm just saying one thing to Seattle Seahawks people, I'm saying let the cake bake. Like, it's going to take some time. This is going to be a lot of growing pains this year, but you're going to see a feisty team. You're going to see a team that wants to go. Yeah, you're going to see there's going to be energy there. I don't have them nearly as high in wins as some of the win projections that I'm seeing. I'm just sorry.
Bake, though. I like that. Let the cake bake. I know people are very high on them. I kind of like it because they have a lot of potential. The total there is 7.5 wins. So it's 8-win season. $1.80 to make the playoffs. 7-1 to win the West. You're obviously in a very tough division with the Niners. 20-1 the NFC, 65 to 1 Super Bowl. But here's Mike McDonald. He is one of my favorites to win Coach of the Year. He was the prime coach. Look, he's a young little whippersnapper. That's his stat as you were talking about. Ryan Grubb from University of Washington there on the lower left. No, actually, these are 3 different Michael McDonalds.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Come on. Just have a little fun. Have a
so
little fun
good.
there. Look at that head of hair on Michael McDonald, though, huh?
That's amazing. I love that. It's set up like a really sweet, like, late 80s Tops Steely Dan.
Steely Dan Tops card. Tops rated rookie right there.
Yeah.
What do you think about the
90?
What do you think about the actual Michael McDonald coming over from the Ravens? He was the mastermind for that amazing defense last year. Sean McVay already said he's not happy that he's in a division with him. Everyone was like, this guy is the real deal.
Yeah, he's probably the real deal. He's going to need a lot of real personnel to run the real things he wants to really do. Let's just let's wait. We got to let him get his pieces. And he's not looking down on the sideline and watching that unit run out there. And there's guys like Roquan Smith. I mean, there's a lot of buzz and there's a lot of young juice, but these guys also got to figure it out. This is the thing, is when you're going to see all these big moves. They're going to play hard. And they're gonna be aggressive. Those are 2 giant components to being successful in this, what they're doing.
Yeah, they got a lot of. They were the bottom 5 defense last year, but they have a lot of talent. The cupboards were not there. Of course, they got Rick Woolen and Devin Witherspoon and the secondary, and who's the guy who led the team in sacks? Like Boy Maffey, whatever his name. I mean, that guy. They're just flying around. Then they drafted that Byron Murphy Jr., who's 10-1 to win Rookie of the Year. I mean, they're going to be. They got some young Hawk boys flying around.
That's the key, is do that and do that again. Do that again. In the meantime, this is going to be a real growing pains year. I think wins are going to be scarce. I don't see him as a playoff team, but I see him hungry as hell all the way around. You got to deal with them. They're going to have to deal. Yeah. They play good at home. They're going to play good at home. And I think they're going to take the kind of team that they have and go on the road and play just fine. I don't see a mountain of drop off into what they do wherever they go or whatever the elements are. I see them as being just be active, I don't know.
Whatever the elements are. They do play great at home. Of course, they have the 12th man at home. And you ever think they should get flagged for too many men on the field because there's an actual 12th man, as they say there? I think it's illegal.
They should get flagged for a lot of things that they do at home. If they're just revealing everything.
Yeah. Sure. Now if they're revealing it all, they'd always be flagged. Now let's talk about this offense here. It starts with Geno Smith, of course, who is 121 to win MVP. That's a bit much, but Geno Smith, people don't know. He's the only person to win Comeback Player of the Year twice in the same season. He comes back like, oh man, you're back from being terrible, Then he goes right back to being awful again. So they take it from. Then he comes back like week 8, like, all right, we'll give it to you again. Like, he is such a roller coaster. I love him.
He had a 5-year span where he may have played like 11 actual football games. That's kind of wild to me.
Right.
And then he came back, and the stuff he did with Seattle has been amazing. Like, it's also the Geno that's always been that Geno, right? Like, sometimes you just are what you are. He was drafted way high, and they just thought, oh, you're just going to get better and better and better and outrun everybody and do all this. And he's like, this is what I do, This is,
we just assumed he would run. And he's like, I don't really do that. And we're like, well, why not?
Have you seen what happens back there?
Right.
It's damage, and it's usually like a loose, it's not, we have guys, if you use the personnel right, you can throw from this position quite effectively.
Absolutely.
It took Geno Smith to talk to the NFL and just say, I think the quarterback should start to think about throwing it again.
Right. Hear me out now.
Yeah, but, I know. A little wild, a little forward thinking.
I can be an athlete and throw the ball. Now
you got to get
right.
this offense is. I mean, they can't figure out how to get DK the ball. That's crazy. He needs the ball all the time.
That's what I'm saying. Look at these weapons.
His chances in games were embarrassing, like as if it was a hidden. Like I thought for several times over the last couple years now that they were just going to move him, and they were using him in such a sparing way as to say, yeah, this guy's awesome, he's out there. Well, that's one highlight, pull him or whatever. Just all looks so weird. Like you either use him or you have to lose him, and they might do that because they do have a lot of money wrapped up in wide receivers. Lockett makes a chunk. DK makes a chunk. Geno makes a chunk. And this is on the last guy's coaching staff. So back to you got to wait for a little bit. You're going to have to wait for a little bit because I don't know that all three of those guys, I don't see why not. I don't see why that they don't fit exactly what this coach is going to do either. I think it's a cool problem to have. for the rookie coach.
Absolutely. They have the three. Now Lockett's amazing how he keeps producing. Every year he's like, oh, he's got to be too old now. But now I think, what do you think of this Jackson Smith Nijba? They're calling him JSN this year because his name gets a little problematic for middle-aged white guys to say. The N word there. But he's 150 to 1 to an offensive player of the year. I like that. DK Metcalf is 60 to 1. I mean, like, he is something. He didn't have quite the rookie year, but I mean, he could blow up, I think.
Yeah, I love that. I love that player, quick and shifty, and coming from school. He's trying to make plays. I mean, he looks like a guy who could just take off. So get these guys the ball in space. I don't know. We'll see. The offensive coordinator comes to them. They like to sling the ball around. They had an awesome that Washington offense was.
They got the UWOC up here, Grubbs. Now, what about Walker 3, the running back? He's an absolute beast.
Get him in space, and I think if their schemes are good and you spread in the field and they're able to move the ball around, like Geno kind of naturally does that. He doesn't lock on to one guy and just live with it and feeds and pump the stats to one situation and then fail. He'll move. He can make the throws. I like this team. I just don't know that it always is going to correlate to a bunch of wins.
Yeah,
It could. They fooled me before. They fool me every year. I know.
They got things all over the place. What would be holding them back? Just too much hawkness going on, madness flying around. Is that what's going on?
Too much hawkness. You could lose it just like any team loses it on any given week. It's communication in the house. I mean, if there's the back channel, like what we see in games is one thing, but what is actually going on with the community that is the actual players and coaches and that relationship, that's where the wins and losses are. Right. And I do think that it comes down to leadership, which I like theirs. I think the GM is strong, very strong.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I love where they're going. I love the direction. Let's get to the schedule here now. These are Seahawks. There's a couple legends for you. Look at that Steve Largent just shaking hands out there, the congressman, I imagine he's come to your door sometimes. Steve Largent. I feel like Steve Largent's found every single door in the Pacific Northwest.
He comes to my door, he's shaking hands, and he already has another human severed hand. That's what this illustrates. He's just shaking. There should be a bone sticking out of the other side of that hand. Oh, Largent. There goes Largent again.
There goes Largent with the old bone up the sleeve trick he does every time.
Every Halloween, huh, Steve? You love that human handshake with the bone hanging out. You love that. It actually ruins the place.
Oh, God, it ruined its whole atmosphere. And of course, the legendary Cortez Kennedy, my favorite Seattle Seahawks.
Beef, super beef.
Absolutely. Now look at the schedule. You start off pretty nice there. You got the Broncos at home. That's
the Bo Nix party game. This is the Bo Nix. He just got named. Here comes Denver. I know talk about the Hawks, but watch out for this little. Denver's just going to try to play super fast.
I can't believe I didn't even put that together there. That Bo Nix is coming back to Oregon.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! You're right. The Bo Nix party game. So watch out for your survivors. Week 1. That's a game you want no parts of. You're saying?
No. If anything, it's Denver. It's a Denver. You know.
Right.
he's gonna Bo Nix around and scurry about and twinkle his toes, and
yes,
he's the kind of guy who will, he'll fart around out there. And if you fart around with him, he's liable to fart in your face.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And then we go to New England. I like that Jacoby Brissett versus Geno. A couple of couple guys who are just
couple of guys. Yeah. Jacoby Brissett and Geno.
Yeah.
A couple of guys.
Jacoby and Geno. Don't they feel like they should be in a cop movie together or something like that?
That is good. That is actually a really good. If they did it in. And I'm going to just say Cagney and Lacey format. If they just used the exact scripts and just did Jacoby and Brissett, or
right,
Brissett, Geno and Jacoby. Geno and Jacoby is and I am asking that they wear drag. I'm sorry. It's what the script calls for. But it's going to be a Cagney and Lacey reboot with them, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, they got to hire 2 female cops, but because they, like bosom buddies, they have to. Anyway, we'll go on.
No, yeah, fair enough. Absolutely.
Week 3.
We'll go on. We're only on week 3 for crying out loud.
We got to get me out of here.
Now we can skip ahead here. Absolutely. Miami at home. I mean, it'll probably be wet in there. The Dolphins do like the rain and the water, so they'll be splashing around.
Let's say they have problems. Let's say they have problems in Denver. Or with
Denver.
With Denver, they can get jumped there. They can get farted. They can have fart in their face, and then they go to New England, and they're not really ready. They're still kind of licking their wounds. I don't know. They're not really ready. It's a stupid Patriot. Everybody up there is stupid and patriotic, and they're doing it, and then they just get by on them on some 9-6 football game or something, and then they got to go deal with. Then they got to go home. And now it's Miami who's going to score on you.
You want no parts of this.
Yeah, now you go to Detroit and they're going to score on you. Now let's say you're fastly 0-4.
And they went into Detroit last year and beat them, so there's going to be a revenge angle on that as well,
Right. Detroit isn't losing that game. Miami isn't losing that game. The Patriots should win theirs, and Denver is a snake bite on
I think I see where you're going with this. You're doing the old classic start out 0-8, then run the goddamn table after the bye.
Midnight ambush.
Ambush. Start out 0-9, week 10 bye, midnight ambush, run the table.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. Oh, hey, guys, prepare for a midnight ambush.
Jesus, tonight?
Yeah. And then giggle and laugh, and then walk out.
So, giggle, laugh, walk off, midnight ambush. So I like it. So let's just go ahead and assume lost to the Giants, lost to the Niners, at Atlanta, Buffalo, Rams, no prayer.
It could get bad quick, right? Now you're scared to death, and now you're starting to fucking lose. You could start losing roster. You're going to have to, at that point, you're going to have to melt DK, Lockett. I mean, you're going to have to start to change everything. Melt the team down. If you're in the tank right here, what are you going to do this next year?
Yeah. For sure. No, I think they'll right the ship there a little bit. But you're right. This schedule gets tough there in the second half. Any games pop out there at you there in the second half of the season?
No. This team is there's no game that pop out. There's not one game.
They play that NFC North all on a row there.
That's week 13 could be pretty funny.
Right. That's a funny one for sure. That's an old Freeman McNeil game or some shit. Those fucking weird turf in there. Then they go to Arizona for something, of course, is divisional. But then looking at 3 in a row: Packers, Vikings, Bears. Okay. I guess so.
Yeah, because that'll be relevant.
Right. It'll be on TV. I mean, there'll be HBO's following around. I don't understand what's going on. I don't really understand what's going on.
Week 18 at LA Rams is a formality. that to me speaks volumes. Your biggest rivalry, they're just putting that on the back end, this is what what you're supposed to do. You get a chance at him on the very last week. If you can be there, you'll get a chance at him. And it's no, you won't. You won't be there. You will have no. I'm just saying they got to be real careful in the first four, and that's going to change everything. If they come out fight like I believe they will, I like their juice.
Yeah.
It's got to correlate into wins, especially with the young team. They've got to see something. They got to see some fruits of their labor. If they start looking at 0-4 with a bunch of young people and a bunch of new people, this shit could fall apart quick. So be careful.
All right. So be careful, Seahawks. Let that be a warning from John Schneider Jr. No relation. No. Your insider. Now, we advise all the degenerates listening here to wash your ears after listening and forget anything you've ever heard, because this is a dangerous commentary that should be long and forgotten into this world that is out there. John, I appreciate it. So you're on the under. I like that with Seattle. A lot of hell's going to happen. A lot of breaking loose. You can sorry, you put it if you want to put your camera back on. A lot of hell breaking loose, and we'll come out of the W's. That's all. But next year, they're setting it. You just got to let that cake bake, as you said, and they'll be ready for next year.
I don't have any family.
All right, John. Well, good luck to you this year. Good luck in life.